Hey everybody, it's Sam Smith with JP and Associates Realtors coming at you on April 22nd. It's a Wednesday, 2020 to be exact. I wanted to introduce my friend, let me get this way, Laura, Laura Naiser. Laura is visiting or interview. She's going to be on here to talk about her business, which is called Agape Soul Spa. And it's not a brick and mortar spa, but the concept is very, very much the same, I think. Laura, tell us a little bit about your business.
Well, hi, Sam. Thanks for having me on. Yes, I am a mindset coach, and my coaching practice, Agape Soul Spa, it's a place basically where it's a space of unconditional love and non-judgment, where you can come and process what you're going through, whether that's a positive, exciting challenge or a struggle that you're needing some help and support around. And I love going to the brick and mortar spas, which I'm really missing right now. So when it came time for me to start my coaching practice, I just had this vision of I wanted it to be like a spa for your soul. And so the word agape is Greek. It's a Greek word, and it's just this idea of unconditional love in action, like actively loving someone. And so that's what I wanted it to be. I wanted people, when they came and coached with me, to feel like they had had a makeover for their soul, but it would actually really change their life, as opposed to just feel good for a little while, like when we go get a massage or something.
But, right.
Yeah.
Well, and I can say I have met with you before for an intensive session. That was a few hours that went by in the blink of an eye, but I came out of it with so many tools. I mean, for me, it's always a challenge to kind of, adopt a tool and then stick to it and keep going. But I have to say there are quite a few things that I'm still using.
Yay.
Yeah, I know. And the cool thing is, actually, I'm trying to think of when this was, but like several weeks ago, I felt myself getting kind of in a rut, like a repeat of how I kind of got off track. And you had provided me with notes, a transcript of our meeting time, and then some sort of worksheets and suggestions. Like you took all the notes. I didn't have to do anything while I was sitting there with you. And I went through and reviewed all that, and I was like, oh yeah. And then, you know what? I got myself back on track, and I felt a lot better for it. Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, that just, I'm so excited. I'm so proud of you. And that is, and that is totally how it is for us, that, when we have this like pattern of behavior and we realize, oh, that's really not serving me. It's why I'm not getting the results I want. And then we gather these new tools and concepts and we put them to use, and we can get new results, but it does take like practice and repetition. Same way you created the habit that wasn't giving you the result you want. You kind of hit through repetition, and you train your brain to get the trigger and then respond in the way you want it to. And it just takes practice. And it really, what I loved hearing when you were talking about that is how gentle you were with yourself. Like you weren't beating yourself up like, oh, I'm doing this again or whatever, because that's not useful. But just being like, oh, I see what's happening here. Let me just kind of readjust, and being really kind and compassionate with yourself, and just getting fascinated about, oh, what happened here? I was doing this stuff, now I'm not. And that can just be so much more powerful than just like trying to beat ourselves into doing what we want.
Yeah, because I read something the other day, which I know this concept is, everyone knows this, that we are the ones that talk to ourselves the most. Yes. We talk to ourselves more than any other conversation that we could have. And if that kind of speaking to ourselves is negative, then that's where our mind's going to go. But one thing, like keeping with thinking about the soul or the spa concept, I mean, non-judgment, I think, is, like non-self-judgment. And I think that, my experience with you was just, just observe it. And you know how you have reaffirmed that to me is through your emails, because you send out emails maybe every week or
I try
2
to
weeks,
every
something like
week.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, invariably you have some story that, where I identify with at least one little piece of it where, there's just the opportunity, there's a window of opportunity for like that negative talk.
Yes.
And you describe how you turn it around and make it reflective. And that's just one of the tools that you teach with your coaching, and I just think it's fascinating. But you've only been doing this for 2 years, year and a half.
Yeah, formally like this, I have only been doing it for about a year and a half. I was prior to that, I've done all kinds of jobs. I was in marketing and public relations for a big real estate development company. I worked for the developer of Steiner Ranch for a while. I was in real estate for several years before that. I was a real estate appraiser. And so I just came out of that background, and that I just always yearned for something else. And when I was in my mid 20s, I was really struggling with depression. Really, like, couldn't even hold down my job. I had to quit my job, and my therapist really wanted me to get more structure in my life. And so she asked me to sign up for a really highly structured, high accountability class. Well, not having a job, I wasn't going to sign up for college. So
Yeah.
I signed up for a Bible study at my parents' church. And that was just, that was like where I got some of these concepts were taught to me about. It was a Bible study that was around dealing with childhood trauma, and that was part of why I was depressed. And so that was kind of my first introduction to some of these concepts and tools, like setting healthy boundaries and having some self-compassion and holding some space for yourself and things like that. And it just helped me so much. And then over the years, doing different kinds of therapy and personal development work, I've always just loved the personal growth, personal development, psychology type stuff. The neuroscience is fascinating to me. And so about 4 or 5 years ago, I noticed that as I was teaching my classes, I did like Bible study classes, I just kept having women come to me and be like, hey, could I talk to you about this problem I'm having, or this thing that I'm thinking about doing? And it just kind of evolved into me becoming a coach. Like I was coaching, and then I realized, oh, that's what I'm doing. I'm coaching.
Yeah,
And so
you were
then
achieved something, and then
yes.
you had to work back and figure out what. Yeah.
And so I spent about a year looking for the coach certification that I wanted to do, because I really wanted it to be neuroscience based coaching and very practical and more than theory. And I also I didn't want to be someone's professional nag. Like, I did not want to be like holding people accountable and all that. I didn't want to be that kind of coach. I wanted to really equip people to be able to feel so much better and manage their mind in a way that allowed them to show up as the person that they really and truly want to be and reach their full potential. And so I went and got certified at the Life Coach School, which is in our industry kind of talked about as the Harvard of life coaches, Life Coach School. So it was intense. Let me tell you, it was a year-long program, very intense, and I loved every second of it.
Wow, that's great. Well, and then, it probably expanded your mind and kind of like carried on to, like some of the things that you had achieved when you were in your 20s through that first, sort of breakthrough. And, you and our kids went to school together, and I don't think we ever met during that, but then we ended up meeting because I was enrolled in Marie Forleo's B School. Yes. You were enrolled in Marie Forleo's B School, and you actually reached out to me because you realized we live right near each other,
Yes.
which was great. I think that's such a blessing. And I know that, you know, reaching out for an opportunity or for an opportunity, like, just meeting somebody and developing a relationship is, um, a great way to kind of solidify whatever it is, because that's what we were talking
Yes.
about. What business am I going to start? Everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you actually were starting a different, kind of down a slightly different trail before it evolved into the life coaching. Um,
Yes.
mhm.
Yeah.
And
So,
but you're
oh, go
still
ahead.
kind of, are you still doing some of that
So
component?
yeah, so I knew I wanted to be doing the coaching, but I really wasn't sure. I signed up with B School because I just really felt like it could help me figure out how to do this as an online business as
Mhm.
opposed to just a local business. And it the school that I went through really emphasized the online aspect of it. And now I'm super glad that I'm in the online space, but it's
Yeah,
so fun
really.
because I get to coach people all over the world. I've had
Really.
clients in New Zealand and London and now in, let's see, Singapore and
Wow.
Canada and all
Mhm.
over. So
Wow,
fun.
fascinating. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Well, so you're online, like you can do this, like you said, people can be anywhere around the
Yes.
world or in their own home, like I'm at home right now, you're
Yep.
in your home office as well. So we're all separated. We're all feeling kind of disjointed and everything. So um, what are you doing? I know that you have some things going on that are basically free of charge. I mean, one is your
Yeah.
newsletter, which is, like I said, is extremely helpful. But what else are you working on right now?
So yeah, so I have a free Facebook group. It's called the Oasis, and it is a place where I have some little videos and past like Facebook Lives and Q&A sessions that I've done that are archived in there in little units where you can
Mhm.
go. I try to make them easy for you to find like the topics and stuff that would be most of interest to you and helpful to you. And then it's also just a place where if you're, it provides a sense of community for us right now when we can't get together in person. It's a great way to show up and have kind of common interests. And so, like, I started a study group, and of course, my coach certification is secular. It's, I can coach anybody on anything. My background was through I ended up working on staff at a church. And so the focus, kind of the lens through which most of my stuff is done is through a Christian worldview. But you don't have to be a Christian to participate. You just
Mhm.
need to know that that's where I'm coming from. But there's like no judgment at all, no requirement for you to be a Christian to participate. And so we have a discussion group going on. We meet our meeting on Wednesdays at noon, and we're just walking through the book of Philippians, which is just a letter about how to get through times of uncertainty
Mhm.
and potential danger, and feel at ease, feel at peace. And so we're just having a informal discussion group on Wednesdays. I've been offering free group coaching calls, and I'll be offering those through the end of April. And those are for anybody who needs to just kind of process through something. I've coached several healthcare workers,
Yeah.
moms who are struggling to juggle working from home and when they don't normally work from home,
Mhm.
and homeschooling their kids and
Yeah.
trying to round up and wrangle groceries and toilet paper and all of the things.
I know.
So,
Like
it's
hunter and
like,
gatherer.
yes, you're
Yeah.
just like, you've got this new role. I've got
Yeah.
to like forage for things and
I
stuff.
know.
And so, one of the things that I've really observed is, there's just so much anxiety. People who are not normally worriers are worrying. The people who normally struggle with worry are really struggling with worry.
Mhm.
And I'm seeing that their mind is just kind of looping on I can't control this. All this stuff is out of my control. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what it's going to be like next week, much less next month, or, it's just all that uncertainty. And so I've been in the coaching calls, we've been able to get people a lot of relief really quickly, just by helping them understand where the emotion's coming from, identify their thoughts, and just kind of gain some awareness. And also, like, I'm seeing a lot of women who, because it's primarily women, men are welcome as well, but primarily I have attracted women to me. And so I've seen a lot of women really just being so hard on themselves because they're feeling what they're feeling, and because they're struggling to, they have all these things they want to do, and then they just have kind of shut down, and they're not taking action because they're worrying, or they're just feeling so overwhelmed. And so we've been able to unpack a lot of that in these coaching calls really quickly, and help them get some relief that, and then I've been following up with people, and it's really been helping them to manage that going forward. Kind of like you said, like, you got the tools and stuff, and then you just kind of had to practice them. And
well, that's great. I mean, I'm impressed that in a group call, people are feeling comfortable enough, first of all, to admit they're, some people perceive anxiety as weakness, plain and simple. And and then I'm sure it's just that sometimes in a group, people clam up,
it's really
interesting. Participate.
So. Yes, you're absolutely right. It totally depends on the people themselves. I will say, like, the group calls, and I make it totally optional for you to be on camera or to even get coached in the call. So if you want to just come to the call, you can get so much by just hearing someone else be coached. In fact, a lot of the times it can even be more effective for you to just listen to someone else getting coached on something that it might not be exactly like what you're going through, but because you're not in the thick of it, it's not you that's in it, you can see the concepts at work that I'm pointing out. And then you're able to apply those to your own situation. But one of the beautiful things that I've seen going in these calls is, like, total strangers getting on the call. We start coaching. I kind of will, ease us in and kind of do a little bit of teaching, kind of get things going. And then depending on how many people are on the call, I will pick the topics that I think are going to be most applicable to the people on the call. And so I'll bring someone on. Everybody can be on camera. It's not like webinar style. So we're all kind of Brady Bunch style on Zoom. And then I'll take one at a time and just work through them, give them the framework. It's called the self-coaching model. And it basically, we identify the facts of what's going on in their situation, help them understand the thoughts they're having about those facts, and how those thoughts are creating their emotional state. And from that emotional state, that's what's driving them to show up the way they're showing up. So either to take certain actions, or to procrastinate, not take action, or to react, like, snap at your family because they're on your last nerve or whatever. So,
I know.
And then I can kind of help them see, like, just seeing all of that and see the result that that's creating, and help them kind of process and make sense of it. And we can get that done really quickly, like in as little as 10 minutes, take somebody to their aha moment where they're like, oh, I didn't even realize I was thinking that about this. And then it's like, sometimes that's all you need is just the awareness of the thoughts that are rolling around in your brain. And it's not a sign of weakness. There's nothing to feel shame over, because it's just like, hey, if you're feeling anxiety and overwhelm and stress right now, congratulations, you have a functional human brain. It's working exactly like it's designed, to work. And so, there's nothing to be ashamed of, and there's no reason to suffer on your own with that when you can come and get some help to sort it out.
Mm-hmm. So what days is that? I'm going to write that in the comments here. Tuesday?
So through the end of April, I have the calls on Friday at noon Central. And then I've been trying to offer, and I don't remember the exact dates I have those planned, but I have some other, like one other date during the week that I've moved around to kind of give people options for when they can coach. But I have, if you want to sign up for that, you can just go to agapesoulspa.com. Let's see, I can post that link if you want in the chat.
Okay.
And
I put it, I mean,
oh, you did?
just in general, but you can do. And then there's a sign up on there.
Yes. So if you go to agapesoulspa.com/group calls, that'll go right to a landing page. And on that page, the sign up page, you can actually watch me coach somebody. One of the clients who showed up gave me permission to share the video of her little laser coaching session. And so you can kind of get a taste of what it would be like.
Okay. Oops. Where'd you go? Sorry.
Okay. I totally understand when you have different windows open, you're like, wait, where'd everybody go?
All right. So agapesoulspa.com group calls. Is that right?
Yes. Okay. And on the website itself, there's a page called free gifts. And I've got several different free gifts there, different like a audio meditation, just some different things. So there's a variety of things there. And it also will show you my podcast episodes.
Okay. So when this group coaching is done at the end of April, because like to me, this would be an opportunity for someone to feel like they're getting themselves completely on track. And like you said, you have all kinds of free resources and everything.
Yep.
But you make a living through this. So what do you offer normally, like your paid services?
Yeah. So actually I have a one-on-one private coaching package. So you can work with me for 90 days. And during that 90-day period, we will meet 9 different sessions. And that allows us to really and truly help you not only learn the concepts, but actually put them into practice with me there to support you, guide you, help you, see things that you wouldn't necessarily see yourself, because when you're trying to learn the concepts and apply them to your life, that's a whole lot to take in. And it really helps to have someone who knows the concepts and who can provide you with the perspective that it's really hard for you to see when you're in the middle of it. So it's why I get coached. It's why I have a coach and I get coached every week. I need someone to show me my brain and what it's doing and the effects of it. Even though I know all the concepts, I can coach myself to a certain level. But then at that point, there is so much power in having someone else hear what you're saying and then just point out some connections that it's almost impossible for us to see ourselves. And so that's what we work on. And that gives you time to actually retrain your brain and let it settle in and literally form new neural pathways in your brain that helps the new patterns of thinking and feeling and behaving really stick, so that you get long-term change happening for you and long-term relief for you. And then, oh, sorry, did you want to say something? So, and then I was going to say, and the other option is kind of what you did, which is one of my intensives. So we could either do a half day or a full day intensive. And that's for someone who's got like a very like specific issue that you just want to kind of either kind of have a refresher or a brush up, kind of shore things up. And you just kind of need a quick, let's get in, work on this one thing. And then you're off and going. And so we can do that. The other thing is, after doing these group coaching calls, I had so much fun with it, and I saw people getting such great results that I think I'm in the process of kind of putting together what a 6-week group coaching program would look like.
Okay.
And that that I think I'll be launching in the middle of May.
Okay. Wow. Isn't that great? I mean, things
Yeah.
just, sometimes it feels like we're up against a wall or like facing adversity or not having any business, but then, things just kind of flow out
Yeah.
and grow out of just being creative and coming up with ways, especially ways to help one another.
Yeah.
Because, it, you never know what kind of help people need, but here you are, you're able to ask these good questions, and sometimes what feels like whatever the issue is on the surface, once you have someone asking you those questions, then you start to see things in a much different way.
Yes.
All right, so mid-May is when you're thinking that you'll start the paid group calls.
Yes.
But anyone can sign up, like follow
Absolutely.
your Facebook page. They can, you have links on the your website. Um, like you said, you've got all those free your past podcasts,
Yep.
your emails, like I said, are so helpful. Of course, I always like to read stuff, but and it's a quick read, but very helpful. I don't know if anyone listening or watching has any questions for Laura. Go ahead and post a comment. We have a few more minutes. We can take some questions or comments. But um, do you do primarily have female clientele or
Yes.
participants, but it's not exclusively.
Right.
Yeah.
I have had some male clients, some of my fellow B school groups, the
Oh,
people that
nice.
were my
Okay.
B
Yeah.
school groups. Yeah. And so, yes, yeah, I'm open to coaching anybody who needs help.
Yeah, very good. And this could be, personally, I'll just speak my mind is that, you know, I've been through, a lot of counseling and therapy over the years and different types. And one of the most helpful types was DBT or dialectical behavioral therapy. And this type of coaching that you offer is very similar to that. And DBT for me was extremely helpful because it did this a very similar concept of be in the moment, be aware, reflect on what you're doing, what you're responding to and how you're feeling and stuff like that. Sounds a little mushy, but it's not. I mean, the thing is you can just respond constantly,
Yeah.
and sometimes if you find yourself not really getting very far, it could be that you need a little
Yeah.
perspective.
Yes.
And so that's what you can offer for sure.
Yeah. That's a good thing that you mentioned too. I think is a good thing to clarify the difference between coaching and therapy.
Mhm.
And the way I tend to explain it is coaching therapy will take someone who is really not functioning in a certain area of their life, like maybe they have clinical anxiety or depression, something along those lines, and they're not functioning at a normal kind of level, normal quote unquote,
Right.
but they're not able to function. Like when I had clinical depression, I was not able to actually hold down my job because I couldn't do normal daily activities. And so
Mhm.
therapy really helped me get back to a functional level. Coaching takes someone who's at a functional level, but they're just kind of struggling. They're frustrated with something they just have it's kind of like they just keep tripping over the same issue, but they're functional. They can, do what they need to do in a day. They're just kind of suffering unnecessarily, and they don't know how to get themselves out of that suffering. And or they have something they want to accomplish and they just can't quite get unstuck to get it
Yeah.
done. And so coaching, I come in and take some of those same tools and concepts from the neuroscience that underlies like cognitive behavioral therapy and things like that, and use them with with someone to take them to a higher functioning level and get results that are better than what they're getting now. So that's kind of the difference.
Well, thank you for explaining that. I mean, I would never have known how to explain it. So nobody asked, but that needed to be explained.
I get that question a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, I want to thank you so much, for being with me, spending time with me. I really hope, I'm so glad to know that you're able to help people
Yes.
right now in this time. And I'm so glad to be able to bring your vision, your work, your offerings to my audience, because we just never know who needs help. And, like myself, I never would have reached out for coaching, actually. If I didn't know you and you didn't tell me that you were doing this, and I thought, sounds really interesting. So, new ideas sometimes are good, especially right now when our brains are kind of, on a little bit of a wheel. So new ideas are good things. And
well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure to get to visit with you. And I, like you said, we never know who's listening that needed to hear something there. So thank you very much.
Yeah, you bet. All right. Well, thank you again to everyone who joined us. And we'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to be doing an interview with a local business manager owner who her brick and mortar store, her hair salon has been basically put out of business. And so I'm inviting her on so she can tell us a little bit about what she is offering right now, so that we can support a business like that's not virtual like yours, Laura.
Yeah.
And, that's going to be tomorrow at 3. All right.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye.